everyone, it's Katie here from the Scrappy Sisters, and I am up with day 21 of Scraptember and 30 Days of Sketches. We are getting to the pointy end of the year now, folks. Today's sketch is up in the top left-hand corner there, and today's prompt is scraps. So, do I follow this sketch particularly well? Not really. The vibe is there, but I definitely deviate quite a lot. I didn't go with banners at all. I'm not a big banner lover, but there you go. Didn't really use banners. But I definitely embraced the scraps. So I am using Cocoa Vanilla Studio Bohemian Dreams, and I basically pulled out all of the scraps I had left. I've still got some full pieces of pattern paper, but I pulled out all of these little scraps that I had in my kind of baggie that is housing this collection, and I really wanted to use them. So this is one of the Cocoa Vanilla Studio collections I'm trying to use up because I've got a tiny bit of it left. And so that's what I did. I pulled out all of the scraps, and basically I'm kind of going with these banners in this sketch as sort of layers. I'm just creating a lot of layers. A lot of layers. I'm adding a lot of colour. I'm just kind of going with it. I've got 3 photos, not 4, mainly because I didn't cut my photos down. These are 3x4 photos. There are fun photos actually of Jack and Thomas and Jess. I was the one taking the photos, but I was there. And Lincoln, sorry. We were exploring a park that was close-ish to us. So we're in lockdown number 6 at the moment for Melbourne. In lockdown number 5, I think it was 5, might have been 4. This was in June, so might have been lockdown 4. Can't remember. Anyway, the restrictions eased enough that we were able to travel 10 kilometres. At the moment, we are only allowed within 5 kilometres of our home. And so Jess and I actually live around about 20, not quite 20 kilometres from each other, but it's close. And so our 10 kilometres overlapped by a very tiny little kind of wedge. And in that wedge, there was a new park that we hadn't been to before. So it did have a playground, and that's sort of where we started off. But it was actually part of a big sort of reserve, and there was like a bit of a nature walk, as you can kind of see. And we went on a little bit of it and explore, and it was great. We'll definitely go back there. Also because it's one of the only places that our 10Ks overlaps, and we are hoping in the next week or so here in Melbourne that restrictions will ease a little bit to allow us to sort of catch up outside again. Basically, Australia is just playing a waiting game until enough of the population are vaccinated to open up. So we'll get there. But at the moment, we are stuck a little bit. I am having my first vaccination tomorrow. So today is the 12th of September, and I will have my first vaccination on the 13th. So I'm happy about that. Hopefully I don't get too much of a reaction, but I'm happy to be edging ever closer to the easing of restrictions. Now, of course, my ATG ran out of tape. I leave this in now because I think sometimes people think these are really difficult to refill. When you have one and you use it a lot, they're not difficult to refill at all. When you don't use it very often, that's when I find it tricky. So I didn't use this for over a year because it's hard to get the ATG tape here in Australia, but we just did a bulk order to Tape Jungle not that long ago. In fact, I kind of did 2. I did one with one group of Australians, and then Jess, myself, and one of our friends, Catherine, who's also on the Copa DT with us. We did an order as well. We all live in Melbourne, so we shared a box. Unfortunately, then lockdown happened, so we haven't actually seen each other to get said tape, but I've still got enough that I am busily chugging away. So yeah, we may end up having to post, but I think we'll be all right. We should be able to cross paths fairly soon. I digress. I don't find the refilling of the ATGs particularly difficult when I use it every day. That was the moral of this story. Now, the reason why, I didn't explain this at the start, but the reason why I sort of had to create my layers as I have done was because you will have noticed at the start that the piece of paper I'm using for the background actually had a big kind of chunk cut out of it. So I had used it for backing something. And I knew that I would probably want to use the paper for like a border or whatever. So good old me hadn't sort of cut through you know, the entire section of paper, but it did mean I had this big chunk in the middle that I had to cover. So that is why I've sort of gone with this sort of a style. Yes, it goes with the sketch vaguely, but also I need to cover that big chunk. So I'm sticking my photos down. I am popping the middle photo up on foam. So I just sort of, none of the photos are fabulous. I mean, they're all of backs, but they all tell a story. It's showing that we're exploring through the jungle. The middle photo is Jess with Thomas on her shoulders and Jack in front of her. And Lincoln was actually on my shoulders at the time. And then they are exploring off the beaten path. Should we have been bush bashing, as we call it in Australia? No, probably not. Did Jack want to go and explore? Yes. There was a trail that we were following, so clearly a lot of people do it. It's not the best for the wildlife, so we probably shouldn't have been doing it, but there were definitely a lot of people. I would say particular groups of people use these tracks, and there's a little creek that it ends up at, and there were lots of beer bottles and things like that and rubbish left behind. So I'd say people go down there and drink. I'm just making an assumption based on the litter that was left behind. But yes, that is, I am sure, what happens. Now, I don't have a heap of embellishments that I end up adding to this, which is a shame because I have a lot of embellishments for this collection left and not a lot of paper, but that's okay. I add a couple of little banners. I did want to do a bit of a shout out to banners because, you know, they're in the sketch. I haven't really included them on the page at all. So I do add a couple of little banners in the sort of the top left of the right-hand photo, if that makes sense. So it was a good spot for them because I wasn't covering any people. So yeah, I add a couple of little banners up there, as well as a couple of little banners that I tuck in underneath the left-hand photo. Oh, but I'm also adding, where it says title here in the sketch, I decided to create a bit of an additional kind of cluster. Sort of, not really. I add a couple of extra strips of papers, of scrap paper, just to kind of anchor my title. I knew I wanted to use the happy chipboard, so that came on the chipboard sheet for Bohemian Dreams. I knew I wanted to use the word happy, and then I haven't added it yet, but I do come in with some gold thickers and add an extra part to the title. But I'm just adding in a couple more little ephemera pieces. As I said, I'm adding the banner. I'm just sticking that down. The banner was already resting there, but I'm just sticking it down. And then, yeah, we're good to go. Now, I haven't told you who our special guests are today, have I? How remiss of me. I'm nearly finished this layout. So we have, of course, Laura and Christy, who are joining every day, along with a crap ton of people. Go and check the description box. There are so many people playing along. But for the last little while, we've been shouting out the same special guest, which is totally fine. We didn't have people signing up every day, so there's a couple of double ups. But we've got Jackie from JQ Crafty today. She's awesome. You should definitely go check her out. She runs a super fun challenge group, by the way, so go and check out her videos to hear all about it. But it's called Craft IQ, and it's great. It's fun. Totally fun, and I join in every month. I don't always post my videos, but I do create. So yeah, lots of fun. Now I'm creating a little cluster on the left-hand side here, just because there was a bit of space. I had the 3 photos, which created, and I didn't spread them out evenly, and that was mainly because of the shape of the scrap paper that I had left. So I had that big, darker floral piece, which I've kind of anchored my photos to, but then I've got this space on the left-hand side. So I wanted something added in there, so I've added a chipboard floral and a chipboard butterfly, and I think that's about all. I added the words to each of the photos: lovely, special, unique. Again, they were just 3 words that came in the chipboard sheet, so I've added those, and now I am adding to my title. So my title ends up reading happy with family, and I do a tiny little bit of journaling off camera underneath that title. So I do journal on my layouts. I don't do it on camera. I just don't love my handwriting, but I also don't love journaling under pressure, so to speak. So what I usually end up doing is creating kind of 5 or so layouts, and I'll put them in a pile, and then I'll come in and I'll date them, and I'll do my journaling, and I'll put them away in my album. Now, I don't usually have to create this many videos for YouTube, so this time around I have about 15, all of my Scraptember layouts that are sitting in front of me right now as I'm doing all my voiceovers. because once my voiceovers are done, I will go back, add my date, add my journaling, and put them away in my album. But I do let them pile up. I know people let them pile up for far longer than I do. I do get mine into layouts into albums fairly quickly, but I definitely let them pile up a little bit before I do my journaling. So, of course, coming in with my splatters, I have got Navy Heidi Swap Colour Shine, and I'm also coming in with my gold Marabou art spray. It's an acrylic ink spray, and this one's in gold. I did a long time ago use up my gold Heidi Swap Colour Shine, so I've got this acrylic ink spray, which I'm about maybe a quarter of the way through, so I've used a decent chunk of it, and I quite like it. It doesn't have the halo effect that you used to get from the Heidi Swap Colour Shine, which I like. I don't know, is it my favourite? I don't know. It doesn't shimmer as nicely as the Heidi Swap Colour Shine did, so we'll see. I have got the gold Nouveau Mica Mist sitting in my scrapbook.com cart, but I haven't had a need to order from there for a long time, so it's still sitting there. These are my close-up. Make sure you check the description box for everybody's links, and we will see you in tomorrow's video. Thanks, guys. Bye.